Have you ever wondered how a live broadcast calculates the probability of a play happening in real time? Or a quick stat about how many come from behind wins an underdog has? You might not know their name, but you are likely using their product every single time you turn on your favorite team. Today, we are learning about Sportradar, a tech giant operating at the intersection of sports, betting, and media. We'll learn about how Sportradar is working with the NBA on Peacock to overlay real-time predictive data to enhance their fan experience, and why virtual stadiums want to keep your group chat inside the app through social viewing and gamification. Finally, we'll tie it all together with a sneak peek at the global strategy for the upcoming collision of the FIFA World Cup and the Winter Olympics, including dynamic advertising that reacts to on-field action. Welcome back to the Stave Streaming Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Rowe, and today I'm joined by Brian Josephs, Vice President of the Americas at Sportradar. So if you want to understand the invisible engine powering your favorite fan streaming sports experiences, then this is the conversation for you. Let's get into it. So Brian, if you can familiarize us with Sportradar, what's the problem that you solve and who do you solve it for? Because surely we've consumed Sportradar before as sports fans, but we might not know who you are yet. Help us get acquainted.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Tim. And for those who aren't familiar, Sportradar is the world's leading sports technology company, and we operate at the intersection of sports, betting, and media. So to dig into that a little bit, our core product that we provide, across the different client segments that we work in is sports data. So the language of the fan, you've heard it described as, the oil of the industry and all those types of things. That is core to what we do. And then we leverage our technologies across, computer vision, AI, the different analytical models that we have created in-house to deliver that data and content across, again, betting, media, broadcast, digital media, fantasy, and so on down the line. So, you mentioned, chances are you've used our product if you've consumed sports or engaged with it in any way, shape, or form. In all likelihood, you certainly have.
Very cool. All right, so give us maybe some examples. How have we likely come into contact with Sportradar in the wild?
Yep. So particularly here in North America, we have a tremendous client footprint in the broadcast space. So if you've watched a game or watched a stream of a broadcast, again, we're just talking your core live game broadcast, we have a team that works hand in hand with our broadcast clients to deliver compelling content that they use in graphics, that the on-air talent use to really tell that story around the game, and the graphics technologies and whatnot to bring them to life. So if you've watched a game, chances are you've consumed our product in some form or fashion. Also, from a sports betting standpoint, that's core to our business when the company started 20 plus years ago. If you've placed a bet or engaged with sports betting across, any of the FanDuel, DraftKings, or clients of ours that offer products here in the US or globally, that is core to what we do, providing live data, live odds, live streams of sports broadcast, among many other products and services into that segment. So those two straight away, plus fantasy, plus your digital box score experience, and I could go on. But what's been interesting is, our client segments have evolved a little bit over recent years to, things like search results and voice assistants and so on down the line. So it's been a really exciting time for our business as our client base has evolved, its technology has evolved. It's been really an opportunity for us to continue to evolve the way in which we engage our clients in the market.
So everything from when they flash it on screen that the Jets are the only team who hasn't insert stat here.
had a pick an entire season.
Yeah, I think that's the one that's most top of mind, right? So those are the sorts of things that Sportradar powers. You also power the live box score and fantasy betting odds. And so there's a lot of different ways that the data kind of comes to life, it sounds like.
That's exactly right. And what's happened as sports fandom has evolved a little bit as well, the role of data has along with it. So, if we look at sports data, it tells you what just happened. And, you mentioned, the storytelling and context around the Jets. I apologize if you're a Jets fan. I am friends with
They're
many.
all
My
they're all
in-laws are
logging
Jets
off
fans.
now. We're sorry.
Yeah. Don't listen. But anyways, to tie it back to it, sports data, it tells you what happened, as quickly after that does. But where we've been able to evolve in partnership with our clients is to explaining why it happened. That's that storytelling element. And then what will happen next. So going from stating facts to storytelling and insight, and then ultimately to predictive. And, that's where we use our data APIs, the advanced analytics feeds. We have AI generated visualizations to really move into, call this next generation of sports product experiences. And, it's all built on data, which is again, core to that experience. And then where we've invested heavily from a product standpoint is how do we bring that data to life to engage in that storytelling and insight, and then that predictive nature as well. So it's been, again, I've been here 10 years next month. It has been quite an evolution from where I look back to some of the conversations we have when I first started here to the conversations we're having today. It feels like it's almost been 2 or 3 generations over the course of those 10 years as we look at how our clients have evolved and how we've evolved our product offering with them to start to bring these things to life.
I bet some of the stuff that you're doing with, I think, the NBA on Peacock. Can you tell us about that? There's like some and we're gonna bring in some video assets to the episode. So if you're listening, this is one you're gonna want to definitely go back and find the clips of, because you're doing some pretty cool stuff with the NBA on Peacock. Can you describe that? Tell us what's going on there.
Yes, absolutely. So the NBA is a fantastic partner of ours, as well as, NBC Sports and Peacock and the teams over there. And what we've done and what we're working with them on now is leveraging a model that we've built using, the player tracking data from the NBA and the official data from the NBA, analyzing, call it thousands and thousands, probably even millions of data points to build out this model that is effectively a predictive model that can show us what's happening and what will happen next. So we've built that into a consumer facing version of a product that we call Foresight that brings those predictive insights such as shot probability, expected points, or likely outcomes of a play unfolding on the screen in real time, and have partnered with Peacock to help to bring that to life via their performance view feature in their Peacock app. And this has been one of my absolute favorite projects that I've worked on here, because it does leverage everything that I was just talking about, cutting edge data, the AI models and cutting edge technology on top of it, and then delivering that to an audience in a way that is just really seamless and clean, that adds to the experience. That was something that was, a top priority. We've heard feedback from clients over the years that their audience doesn't want to feel like they need a PhD to consume sports. So when a lot of this new data becomes available, it's really important to make it understandable, consumable. And I think Peacock, their team just did a phenomenal job of really using the tech and the model to bring that to life. And, looking at some of the outputs, I talked about the shot probability to scoring percentage. You can see in real time as a player is dribbling the ball, what their likelihood of scoring from that particular spot is based on who's guarding them, where they're guarding them, and spacing. They also have this really cool feature, this player pulse card that shows, some information about the player who has the ball, how they're shooting. There's a live shot chart in it. So you can see them going from different zones on the floor where they might shoot better than others. And it's a live player movement within that while the game's unfolding. There's 3-point ball trails and markers and things like that. Some liken it to a video game type experience, which obviously younger fans in particular are really accustomed to. But what I think, our teams, Peacock and Sportradar really did a phenomenal job of is adding to the experience without being overwhelming. And, we're watching feedback closely, both from our client, obviously, and then, fans on social media and that type of thing. And the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. And for us, that was incredibly exciting because fans don't like change. They're never happy. They're never happy. I shouldn't say we're never happy as sports fans. But when we were looking at, that implementation, it really was very well received by fans and social media and everything. And, it's a start. It's a very good start. And I'm really excited to see what we can do to continue to shape the NBA streaming experience moving forward. And Peacock's just a phenomenal partner.
And you hear so much about the experience economy for in-person live sporting events. And this is really the NBA and Peacock meeting the customer where they are at home unlocks obviously the second screen experiences with sports betting and other opportunities. It starts to integrate the entire ecosystem. I'm curious, was it the chicken or the egg? Which came first? Was it the idea for creating this on-screen experience, or was it, hey, we've got this data, let's do something with it? How does something like that come to life?
So I think it's chicken or the egg. It's both. So the way that
everything all at once,
everything all at once, always. But the way that we consume content, period, sports or otherwise, has really changed, and that we expect things to be personalized to us and our preferences, regardless, again, of what the content is. We want to have a role in shaping the experience for ourselves. And, sports is no different. It's a form of media. It's a form of content that the fans and audience can engage with. And what streaming has allowed is for that experience to go from being passive to being far more interactive and increasingly personalized and measurable moving forward, which is really important for our clients. And, fans increasingly expect information and insights in real time, with the rollout of betting here in the US and other markets globally. That predictive content and information in real time can help an audience form an opinion one way or another on a particular market. And, we've seen some great implementations of social viewing features, for example. But ultimately, we're in this phase now where, broadcast used to be one broadcast produced for all. And then, RSNs allowed a home and away feed. But now we're entering in a phase here where there are different options being created. There's a lot of experimentation taking place, whether it be the language of the broadcast, the commentators being used in the talent on air, user generated content or different content experience shaped to it. So you'll see, the performance view, and Amazon does a lot of their overlay alternate broadcasts, ESPN around large events, many different options to consume. And all of this is just an intermediary step towards full personalization. So right now, I give, to keep talking about Peacock, I give them a ton of credit, and any other of our clients out there that are experimenting. It's hard to doing something for the first time, but ultimately it's a tremendous learning experience, and it's what's going to allow, the B2C platforms and our clients ultimately to best understand that sports fan moving forward and deliver that personalized experience that everybody's looking for. And what that'll do is that'll increase time and attention and the opportunity to monetize that time and attention, which is mission critical across the board, particularly when competition for that same consumer is sky high. So, how do you deliver that, those options that feel like they speak to that end user so that you can learn more about them and move towards personalization? That's where it's all heading. And, the need for that is because competition's higher than it's ever been for attention. So if your product isn't engaging, doesn't allow for interactivity, doesn't speak directly to that audience, a lot of times people will say something like that and then say targeting a younger audience. I don't think it's just younger audiences. I think I've aged out of that younger demo, but if I don't feel like it's built for me, I'm not going to spend time there either. So I think it's more just fans in general. If you're not building and giving them the opportunity to engage and control, there's risk there. You risk losing that fan, that audience, and competition's extremely high.
I think that is an understated point, that it's not just going to be enough to have the rights to carry the game. It's going to require something more. It's going to require a way that you create personalized fan experiences and incremental revenue opportunities in ways that don't disrupt that experience, right? It's the unreasonable consumer. Once we get it once, we're not willing to go back. I would love for you to
exactly right.
Like give me 2 days shipping. I'm not going back to wait a week. That's crazy. You mentioned a social viewing experiment, and I also want to touch on globally because you oversee all of the Americas. Would love to talk about what things you're seeing globally. But what was the social viewing experiment? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the social viewing experience. So, we built a product called Virtual Stadium that, something that we work with many of our sports betting clients on to bring a social element into the sports betting experience. So it's basically built to target those fans and bettors where it's not an isolated experience for them. They like to interact with their friends or other fans, via chat features and the opportunity to gamify the experience and really interact around both the sport. And then in the case of Virtual Stadium, the opportunity to bet on the sport as well. So it's taking an experience that you will have in call it other forums online and bringing it into the sports experience, whether it be just purely viewing or viewing and betting alongside of it. And yeah, it's something that, again, fans and audiences are just wired to having that interaction while consuming content. I don't know about you, but when my favorite NFL team is playing, the Chicago Bears, bear down, my phone gets very active with friends, family. Everyone wants to share in that experience. And we do that a lot of times via a messaging application. But when you look at time and attention, how do you bring that behavior that fans are already doing and bring it into your experience? If you have that consumer facing application, that's a tremendous opportunity. And to, again, increase that time and attention, the stickiness of your product. And that's why we built Virtual Stadium. And that's something that we expect to see more of across all consumer facing applications, whether it be a sports betting app, a streaming app, a digital media app, or anything else moving forward.
Very cool. And globally, we've got the biggest sporting event, two of the biggest sporting events globally happening this year. We've got obviously the FIFA World Cup and we've got the Olympics later. What does that all mean from a Sportradar standpoint? What sort of things are you guys looking forward to? I think that I saw some news about the World Cup. What's cooking globally this year for Sportradar?
Yeah. So the World Cup, soccer is obviously the most popular sport in the world. So anytime it's a World Cup year, that gets the utmost attention from a product perspective. So what we're really laser focused on is bringing to life a lot of what I've been talking about here for the sport of soccer. So how do we deliver deeper data? How do we deliver more insight to our clients so that they can build that into their experience, whether they're producing a broadcast or just have the scores app associated with it in a second screen experience or in a sports betting perspective? So how do we deliver better odds, more markets, better insight associated with those markets? And then from a data visualization standpoint, Foresight, we talked about in the NBA context, that's rolling out for soccer this year, and something that we're really excited about. Yeah, very much looking forward to that and working with some of our league partners and clients to help to bring that to life. So the World Cup is, and also from an advertising standpoint, many of our clients view large tentpole events as golden opportunities for customer acquisition. So how do we really lean in with them and make sure that those campaigns are all lined up and ready to go to deliver DCO, dynamic creative optimization, real-time personalized advertisements to targeted audience based on what's happening on the field. So, across content, streaming, advertising, it's all hands on deck at Sportradar around the World Cup, and not just in the US. Obviously, it's our North America. I should clarify, it's here in North America, but globally, it's about as big an event as you can come across, and it's an opportunity for us to level up across the board from a product standpoint and work with our clients to bring that to life. So World Cup's huge, and then the Olympics. February is going to be a busy month. Very, very similar from a product perspective. Obviously an opportunity from a betting standpoint, but then customer acquisition. Those big events draw such a tremendous amount of attention over a relatively short period of time. So, how can we help our clients market and activate effectively around those events to capture that consumer or new customer acquisition and be able to maintain that relationship moving forward? So, yeah, it's a bit of a sports equinox on an annual level to have Olympics and World Cup in the same year, in addition to everything else that's going on. So 26 is going to be a big one.
I like that. Sports equinox. You heard it here first. Now we're going to see it in just a couple of months with all of the Sport Radar. Now we know what to look for when we see it on our TVs at home.
Deeper insight, data viz, new markets to bet on. That's what you can expect this year.
Awesome. We're here for it. Brian, thank you so much for being here for this. If folks want to get in touch, where should they go? Give them the Latin long. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Get in touch with me through Kenny. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, Kenny.
I'm actually going to give out contact information or whatever, but yeah, all good.
We'll point them to the website. We'll point them to Sport Radar, and they can get in touch when they're ready to learn more.
Kenny Conrad, comms at sportradar.com.
The man. Thank you so much, Brian.
God, thanks, Tim.